Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10 and support the channel at the same time. Hey there, it's John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch, where, again, it's been another big week for the market. Iconic Masters has come out a little over a week ago, and as you can imagine, it's had an impact on a lot of the cards reprinted within, especially some of the modern staples, and we'll be looking at those in a little bit here. Now, a quick word of warning, we are not going to look at Iconic Masters singles in this video. We actually did a full video on that yesterday, so in case you missed it, I'll link it at the end of this one. But today we're going to look at everything else, cards from Standard, Modern, Legacy, a few other notable mentions at the end of the video. Now, quickly before we get started, just a really fast reminder, if you check out that description below, you'll find a few ways to help support what we do here. We have Patreon linked below. You're going to find some links to products on Amazon. If you make any purchases through those links, we'll get a small percentage no matter what it is. Then finally, Flipside Gaming is also still offering a promo code for our viewers. Hopefully save some cash. Check it out. So with that being said, let's get into it. We're going to start off with top 5 Standard cards that have lost value this week. And Standard, a little bit slow right now. And you can probably guess that because we're slowly approaching the reveal season of Rivals of Ixalan. We've already seen a few cards revealed, but not that many. And a lot of players are going to wait till they get more reveals before they start thinking about a deck that they're going to be working on in the next season. Some players will want to wait until the set comes out and actually see some tournament results. So because of that, we're really going to head into a slow Standard time, definitely reflected in today's lists. Number 5, Gideon of the Trials, down 91 cents to $13.55. So I think I said a week ago that I felt like a fair price for Gideon would be close to the $10 mark, considering the amount of play that it is seeing. It was highly inflated going into the Ixalan release due to the fact that some people had high expectations for the card with the rules change with Ixalan. That didn't really pan out. Because of that, the card is still seeing play, but not the level of play that maybe some people anticipated. And that's why it's been declining pretty steadily ever since that set came out. But it is still seeing play. I mean, this card is showing up definitely in Standard control builds. We saw it in the Approach deck. It's in Modern control builds, even a little bit in Legacy here and there. So it is a card that is starting to find its voice for sure. But I don't think it's really getting played in the amounts to warrant even still the $14, $13 price tag. Number 4, Walking Ballista, down 95 cents to $14.49. So this is still a key Standard card. Don't let this price drop fool you. It's a small price drop in the scheme of things. $14.49, I mean, that does feel high considering this is a rare from a set that was heavily printed. However, the card's seeing a lot of play, not only in Standard where you'd expect it, but it's huge in Vintage and like Shops decks. You see it in Modern Tron decks like Eldrazi Tron. You're going to find it even in some Legacy decks. So the card is definitely getting around out there, and it's showing up in a lot of formats, which bodes well perhaps for its long-term potential. I will say this, though. When this finally does rotate out of Standard, it's seeing such heavy Standard play right now, and those Standard players will start to liquidate at some point. This card will probably take a pretty sizable hit when that happens. But then, until it gets reprinted again, I can see it starting to tick up slowly over time. So this is definitely a card to watch over the next year or so. Number 3, Carnage Tyrant, down $1.10 to $15.99. So this still continues to lose value. I mean, it's lost almost half the value from when it was released. Not too surprising since the Gruul Dinosaur deck didn't quite get there this time around. But a lot of players are still hanging on to this card in hopes that Rivals will push that deck into a top-tier deck. That could happen. We'll have to wait and see. If it doesn't happen, expect a lot of people to dump this card quick. Number 2, Vraska Relic Seeker, down $1.87 to $18.56. Another card that's still seeing a lot of play. Don't let the drop in price fool you. This card's great in Sultai Energy. It's great in the Ops on Tokens decks. And just generally, it's a good card. It's going to see play probably in many different decks while it's in Standard. But it did see a nice little bump after the Pro Tour, so this snapback's kind of expected. Number 1, the Scarab God, down $2.15 to $39.90. So this continues to trickle down, actually at a pretty decent pace now. And the problem with the card isn't its playability. Card's awesome in Standard. It's in so many different energy decks, control decks, bunch of places. It's also a good commander card. Problem is, it just has a really high price point for the amount printed out there, even at Mythic. So just can't hold that value at like $45, $48 it was at a few weeks back. It's already now below the $40 mark, which is good news for players thinking of picking it up. But this will continue to drop more just because of the quantity that's out there. All right, let's move on to the top 5 Standard cards that have gained value this week. And you're going to notice here very, very small gains. Number 5, Maverin Fine Desk Apostle, up 9 cents to $1.27. 9 cents. This probably could have been almost any card, but it is Marvin. And Marvin does see play in the mono white vampire deck. So even though that deck isn't necessarily putting up huge results, it's a fan favorite deck. It's kind of popular sometimes at like Friday Night Magic. It's definitely something you'll come across. Number 4, Rampaging Ferocidon, up 11 cents to 467. So this is the little rare that good from Ixalan. This is a very efficient, strong aggro red card, and it not only found a home in like sideboards of Mardu vehicles, but also sideboards as well as main decks and a lot of builds of Ramanap Red. Number 3, Botanical Sanctum, up 11 cents to 1081. So key part of this current mana base, especially for all those energy decks. Number 2, Paradox Engine, up 16 cents to 798. So this one's more commander driven than anything, but this card has really been hot in commander recently. A lot of players starting to pick it up and thinking, well, they want to have a copy. Even if they're not playing it now, they might play it in the future. So great commander pickup. You can still get it relatively cheap at under $8. Nissa, Steward of Elements at number 1, up 22 cents to 858. Now, this card saw a nice little boost again out of the Pro Tour, looking good coming out of sideboards of various energy decks, but it's slowing down now. As a matter of fact, over the last 24 hours, it lost a fair amount of value, even though it's up 22 cents from week to week. So I expect this to finally stabilize, maybe even decline by next week. All right, let's move on to Modern, with the top 5 cards that have lost value this week. As you can imagine, you're going to see a few cards reprinted in Iconic Masters here. You'll see a few other things too. Number 5, Teferi, Mage of Zhalfir. This is down 90 cents to 11.45. Of course, this is the Time Spiral version, and this is reacting to the fact that this has a reprint in Iconic Masters. Number 4, another card that also was in Iconic Masters, Cryptic Command, down 90 cents to 27.52. This is the Modern Masters 2015 version, and I've said this before about other cards, but if you're going to buy a version of the card, I would avoid Modern Masters 2015, especially if you're buying online, because there were a lot of printing errors with that particular set, a lot of quality control issues, especially for foils. But this particular one takes a little hit this week. You can get one of the new ones with the new art if you like that art for $20, probably a little less than $20 if you shop around. So this one does feel a little expensive considering that. But at the same time, this card is going to take a small hit short term and then over time start ticking up again, because this is an awesome control card for Modern. Number 3, Maelstrom Pulse, down 92 cents to $20. This is from Alara Reborn. Again, don't let this hit bother you too much. This card's still seeing tons of play, and that's not going to change. It's really awesome for the Modern format. And it wasn't reprinted most recently in Iconic Masters. Maybe it gets reprinted in Masters 25, who knows. But I don't really see anything too unusual about this price adjustment. This card actually was spiking relatively heavily a few months back, so this could just be a little bit of a delayed snapback. Number 2, Magus of the Moon, from Future Sight, down 92 cents to $24. Another card that, of course, has been reprinted in Iconic Masters. You can find the Iconic Masters copy for probably under $10 right now if you're looking for a really good deal, but this is a card that does see play in certain decks that would like a Blood Moon effect, but also want to put pressure on their opponents. Legacy Big Red probably being one of the more obvious examples. Number 1, Vegevine, down $1.23 to $20.85. This card saw a nice spike a couple months ago, and it did very well in a big tournament. A lot of people bought into the deck after that. Unfortunately, it hasn't been able to continue with those results as the meta quickly adjusted, and you're starting to see the repercussions of that now. All right, let's move on to the cards that have gained value this week from Modern. Coming in at number 5, Dark Confidant. This one's from the first Modern Masters, up $2.40 to $49.94. Also, the original version of this card went up a little bit this week too, just missing our list. But Dark Confidant, of course, is part of that Humans deck. The Humans deck is the new hotness. A lot of people buying into it. You're going to see some other cards on the list from that deck as well today. Number 4, Chalice of the Void, up $2.56 to $80.72. This is the mirrored-in version. This is an interesting one because this card and even its other reprinted version started to decline a little bit recently, and now they're just bouncing back to where they were. The card still sees tons of play in Vintage, Legacy, Modern. That hasn't changed. So I don't know. Hopefully we get a copy of this in Masters 25 because this card really could use a reprint. Number 3, Emrakul, the Eon's Torn, up $2.58 this week to $43.39. Now, Emrakul actually, maybe about 3 weeks ago or so, came in second in a Star City Games Modern Classic in a Teamer Breach deck. There were 3 copies run main in that deck, if I recall. So I was expecting this to get a little bit of a boost. It took a few weeks, but here it is. And this is the original version from Rise of the Eldrazi, so maybe that's part of the reason it's getting a little bit of love. Number 2, Cavern of Souls. And this has been on our list by now 3 or 4 weeks in a row. Evison Restored version up 234 to 57.75, with the Modern Masters 2017 version actually passing it, going up 444 to 59.60, which is crazy. But yeah, this card is awesome. Staple in a lot of great decks, but the reason for this current drive is that Humans deck. So again, the Humans deck having an impact here. Number 1, Liliana of the Val, up 451 to 89.97. I mean, Liliana's kind of interesting. She took a little bit of a hit, obviously, with Modern Masters 2017 reprinting her, but she bounced back from that pretty nicely. She took another slight hit as Jund was starting to disappear a little bit from the competitive scene, but Jund kind of came back a little bit too and surged back. But really, the deck that runs her to the most success right now is still the Grixis Death Shadow deck. She looks great there. A lot of times you'll see 3 of her in the main. She's also coming out of sideboards of some other decks, so yeah, Lily's a strong card. Again, don't let these price fluctuations throw you too much. I do think she'll continue to go up a little more, though. All right, let's move on to the world of legacy, or as I like to call it, the world of buyouts. So let's see what's lost value this week. Number 5, Bayou from Unlimited, down just a little bit this week, 1740 to 284.99. Number 4, Force Field from Unlimited, down 26.36 to 173.63. This card usually sits around the $200 mark, so nothing too unusual here. Number 3, Arnhem Jin, down 28.49 to 239.50 from Arabian Nights. This card was the target of a buyout a number of weeks ago. It's been slowly declining recently, and more copies are being introduced back into the market from the buyout, no doubt, so you're seeing this go down. But I do want to point out again, this is not a reserve list card. You can find cheaper versions of this card if you just need it to play with. But it doesn't seem to matter for a lot of these people doing buyouts when it comes to Arabian Nights. It just feels like anything's fair game. Number 2, Diamond Valley, down $30 to $490. This is an Arabian Nights card that is on the reserve list, but it also was the target of a buyout. And it has been going down in recent weeks, although it has kind of stopped and surged back up and then continued to go back down. So it's one to watch. But again, as more copies get reintroduced into the market, I do expect this to continue to go down a little more. And number 1, the Tabernacle at Pendrell, down $144.22 to $1,467.58. Now, this card's been going up and down, of course. It used to sit around the $1,200 mark. Feels like now it might actually be sitting around the $1,400 mark. So I think we have seen some actual growth in this card over the last few months. All right, let's move on to the top 5 legacy cards that have gained value this week. Coming in number 5 is Mishra's Factory. This is the Antiquities Winter variant version of $37.36 to $120.99. I still think this is a good price for this card. It is just very unusual. They don't do a whole lot of variants anymore within sets, obviously. So this is just a cool card. It just looks really awesome. Maybe this is a buyout. Maybe there's just not that many copies left on the market and somebody bought some of the cheaper ones this week. So could be either way with this one. Number 4, Drop of Honey of $41.16 this week to $444.95. This is snapping back up a little bit from some recent losses. Number 3, Gauntlet of Might of $46.97 to $219.14. This is from Unlimited. Another card that sits around the $200 mark, so nothing too unusual here. Number 2, Surrender Be Freed of $49.01 to $349. Now, this is a card that was a target of a buyout. It did go up really aggressively recently. Another Arabian Nights card that is not on the reserve list. So again, you can find much, much cheaper copies just for a few cents if you just want to play with it. But this original card, of course, was bought out. And it lost a lot of its value since the buyout, but it has been climbing here and there anyway. So we're seeing that again this week, and it's a little bit unusual. It could be due to the rate that the cards are being reintroduced into the market. And number 1, Candelabra of Tanos of $58.20 to $592.49. So this is a Antiquities card that, even though it looks like it's a large increase this week, it doesn't necessarily mean a buyout or anything like that because the price point of this card is just so high anyway. Changes $50, $60 can be normal for a card like this. Again, sometimes people just buy out some of the cheaper ones that are available, and then that's going to lift the price because there's not a lot of copies on the marketplace. All right, let's look at a few notable cards that didn't make our list today, but there are a few interesting ones I wanted to point out. The first one is Shattering Spree, up $233 to $13.99. This is an uncommon from Guild Pack, and this card is a fantastic modern sideboard card. It deals with artifacts quite effectively, and it's never been reprinted. It desperately needs a reprint. I think the issue with this being reprinted is when Wizards reprints an uncommon, they like to usually find some sort of utility for it, like in a Master Set limited game or something like that. And if that particular set's not using Replicate, it doesn't really fit well. So I don't know, they're probably just trying to find a spot where this fits. Maybe Masters 25, I guess we'll see. Next card is an Arabian Nights card. It's Ring of Maroof of $5.74 this week to $75.99. I still think this is an awesome price for this card. There's very few kind of quirky, hard to find Arabian Nights cards that are under $100 at this point. So I think this one is a good pickup if you're in the market to pick up some random Arabian Nights stuff. I don't think it's going to stay below 100 much longer. All right, this one's interesting. It's a silver bordered card, Frankie Peanuts. It went up $13.43 this week to $24.99. Now, it's actually a pretty aggressive move, especially for a silver bordered card. And I do want to thank Matt Foley for pointing this out, one of the viewers who left a comment about this card yesterday. And typically, I don't look very closely at silver bordered cards when I make these videos. They don't tend to move all that much. But there are some big things going on right now. Obviously, Unstable is coming out very soon. There's a lot of excitement around the set, a lot of buzz around it. And now that that third unset's coming out, some people are thinking, could there be some sort of unformat, like an unblock constructed, or maybe even a silver bordered commander that's official and has official rules or ban lists and such. So with that sort of buzz in the community, feels like somebody spec'd on this. So yeah, this feels like a buyout. I think because of the buzz, somebody thought, you know what, I'm going to pick these up. This could make an interesting commander in the future, so I want copies of this card. That's what it feels like to me overall. Arena of the Ancients, up 21.12 to 28.98. This is from Legends. This is not on the reserve list, but I did want to point it out because it does feel like a buyout. You can get a really cheap version of this card in Chronicles if you want, under $1 easily, probably under 50 cents easily, actually. But it's a decent commander card. Not really sure why this was bought out. I don't feel like it's going to be that lucrative for whoever did it, quite honestly. But yeah, here it is. I just wanted to point it out so you're aware. All right, with that being said, those are the cards for today, and I'm very excited to see what happens over the next few weeks, especially with more iconic Masters packs being cracked, how that's going to have an effect on some of the value of these cards that have been reprinted. But we'll report on that and much, much more in the coming weeks. But until next time, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.